This is Religion in the News, sponsored by Wish TV, in cooperation with the Church Federation of Greater Indianapolis.
Good morning, Indianapolis, and welcome to Religion in the News. I'm J.R. Ryder. Joining me today is Carol Sissom, Merlin Gonzalez, and Faith James Kimbrough. Our guests talk about an upcoming Easter play, a Valentine's Day marriages, and the National Day of Prayer. News 8 reports on the homecoming of the Butler Bulldogs and the Lady Irish. Stay tuned. Butler fans packed the bleachers at Hinkle Fieldhouse on Wednesday afternoon to thank the team that made it all the way to the championship game for the second year in a row. The rally was bittersweet, but players and Butler staff are already looking forward to next season.
Butler Bulldogs!
Butler fans and Butler players came face to face today, sad and happy, grateful and hopeful, looking forward, not back. Where do you see yourself?
I see myself staying in Indianapolis. I kind of like the area, the bigger, community feel. Just being a part of Butler, it's made me love Indianapolis and the place that it is.
The painful loss already beginning to fade. Coach Stevens' wife watched while their two children squirmed.
I said, how about those Bulldogs?
I'm going to ask you a personal question. What did you say to your husband after the game?
I just gave him a big hug and said, I love you, and I'm sorry, and hopefully we'll get another chance at this.
Will that chance happen at Butler? We went to Stevens' boss, athletic director Barry Collier. You sound pretty confident about Brad staying here. Is that the frame of mind you're in?
Well, I am, only, mostly because we're going to do everything we can and because I know that Brad has said that he really likes it here.
The mayor spoke, as did President Bobby Fong. The Bulldogs will be back. Kyle Marshall told us he already has plans.
Hopefully just develop my skill work throughout the summer, throughout the fall, and get these freshmen in line to hopefully be hungry to come back this year, and hopefully we can come out on top next year.
Now, Indiana had another team in the tournament. It's the Women's NCAA Championship Finals. Notre Dame fell to Texas A&M 76-70.
Good morning. Welcome to Religion in the News. My guest today is Marion County Clerk Beth White. Welcome to Religion in the News, Beth.
Thanks, Carol. Good to be with you.
Thank you so much. I know you are such a busy lady, and we really wanted to have you on to talk about what you did for Valentine's Day. You married over 60 people this year.
We did.
That's just fascinating to me. Yeah. And how long did that take you?
Yeah, we have started this Valentine's tradition about 4 years ago, so this is the 4th year we've been doing it. We started this year, we worked all day. We started about 9:30, and it was probably 4:15 when we were finally finished. Last year, as you may remember, Valentine's Day fell on a Sunday, so we did an abbreviated day. Since I needed to go to church, we started about 1 o'clock in the afternoon, but it really is our favorite day. And next to Election Day, which is really one of our favorite days, which was coming up too. We love Valentine's Day. In my job, which is a wonderful job that I love, we have the opportunity to do a lot of important things for the community. We collect and pay out child support, very important. We process all the paperwork for all the courts. We take fines and fees for the courts. But it's very rare that we're able to make people happy. And our marriage license counter, which is where we do issue licenses to get married, is the place where we are making people happy every day. And so on Valentine's Day, we set up a wedding chapel. We convert our conference room into a wedding chapel, and we provide a basic civil ceremony, and we take a donation for the Heart Association.
Right.
We thought it really was a good opportunity to marry, if you'll pardon the expression, the mission of our office, which is the issuing of licenses, my ability to perform ceremonies, and an important charity in our community. Heart disease is one of the #1 killers of women, as I know you know. It's such a concern, and the Go Red for Women campaign, which starts right around that time in our community, is a wonderful opportunity to raise much needed money for research for heart disease, specifically for women.
And of these 68 people, I know we have some pictures of this year. Tell me about those 68 people. Which ones really stick out to you? Yeah, and they have what, 5 or 7 minutes?
Yeah, it's a very short ceremony. We do incorporate whatever people are asking for. Oftentimes people will say we'd like a poem, we'd like an opportunity to do our own vows. Some of the, over time, really the most touching stories for me are the family stories. We have couples come in all the time who say, you know, we were going to do a big church wedding, but mom is really sick, and mom may not make it. right? Mom is really on days rather than months or weeks. And so she says it was really important, you know, for Mom to be here. And so they would come to my office, and we would, you know, provide very quickly and very easily the kind of ceremony that could take months to plan. This year we had, and I think I see on the monitor right now, a couple wearing their full red. We had a double wedding this year. Wonderful story of these two couples who had known each other since they were children. They had you know, various stories about how they had made their way back to, there they are on the monitor, our double wedding. Made their way back to each other. I think through God's intervention, and they decided it was going to be a really special thing for them to do the wedding together. So we performed a double ceremony. There were a lot of tears. There are always a lot of tears. Some actually are mine, to be honest. It's just a really wonderful opportunity to see people, you know, committing themselves to each other, you know, and to a life together. And great stories. We have military families who come. You may on the monitor just a minute ago, I think we saw one of our men in uniform, young man, who wanted to get married before he was going to be deployed. We hear that a lot. That's another story that is really common in our Valentine's Day ceremonies, is that our military men and women, you know, need a quick opportunity. You know, I had a big church wedding, and it was a blessing to me and my family. We spent almost a year planning it, but you know, that's not a luxury a lot of couples have, and so we see the need really for this quick opportunity that's also special. It's also a solemn occasion. I do the best I can. I pray with the couples if they want that. I'm very sensitive to some of our couples who want a basic civil ceremony, but I am a person deeply steeped in my religion. I go to church every day. Every Sunday I'm an elder at my church. I've been in church for many, many years, and so that's important to me, that the couples know that I can provide, I can call on the Lord's blessing for them, if that's something they're comfortable with. And so we do that, and it's really an awful lot of fun. Since I'm in church a lot, I have had the opportunity to know what a pastor would say. I'm not a pastor. I'm certainly a person of strong faith, but I can provide that opportunity for the couples as well.
Well, tell me about your church. You're in the choir. You sing.
I am.
You have all this experience as a lawyer and a prosecutor. But your faith in God. Tell us about that.
It's always been really important. I was raised in the church. I just consider my parents such a blessing for me that they raised me in the church. I take my son, who is now only 2. We go to church every Sunday. He's being raised in the faith tradition. I think it's so important. I'm a disciple of Christ, which is a mainstream Protestant denomination based here in Indianapolis. As you may know, the Disciple Center is based right downtown, and so we're an international church that is based right here. I'm an elder at our church, and so I provide spiritual guidance for members of our church. I've been a deacon. I've been a trustee who is responsible for the financial wherewithal of the congregation. I've been to lots of church events over the course of time. I just think it's really important. I think one of the things, Carol, you and I were talking about before we went on the air this morning is the connection between government service and religion. And I really do believe that I'm called to this. You know, this is an opportunity. I've been a lawyer. I've been, you know, lots of different things. I've been a public sector lawyer and a private sector lawyer. But I believe that this is what God wants me to do. I believe this is the service that God is calling me to.
Because you could be doing other things.
I absolutely could. I absolutely could. And you know, on early mornings on Saturday, when I leave the house when my husband and my son are having breakfast, you know, he says to me, "How about a corporate lawyer? How about that? How about let's work on that?"
Beth, thank you so much for sharing your story. Thank you. Back to you.
My guest wears many hats as the chairman for the National Day of Prayer and the president of Indiana Family Institute. Stay tuned. Welcome back. My guest today is Kurt Smith for National Day of Prayer. Welcome to the show, Kurt.
Thank you, Merlin. Joy to be here.
Yes, we really appreciate you taking the time to come over here.
My pleasure.
And so something big is coming on May 5th. Could you tell us about that?
Sure. Our nation's been bathed in prayer since our revolutionary founding, the darkest days of the Civil War, when President Lincoln declared a day of Thanksgiving, prayer, and fasting that's become our annual Thanksgiving. But in the early 1980s, Congress said, let's take one day a year and set it aside to encourage people to pray for the nation. They pray in their own faith tradition. It's not a a Christian-only holiday. It's a time for all people to pray for our nation. That happens the first Thursday. This year, that's May 5th. 3 years ago, the Indianapolis City Council decided to encourage an observance here in Indianapolis, and I've been honored to chair that for the past 3 years.
The past 3 years. So it was initiated by Congress instead of like a layperson or a clergy.
Yes. There were many people backing it and supporting it. Shirley Dobson, who some people might know from her ties to Focus on the Family, is the national chairperson of the Day of Prayer. She was a leader. Vonette Bright was very involved, Bill Bright's wife, but it was Congress that said each year we're going to take the first Thursday of the year and encourage prayer. There are observances all across the country, and we're pleased to have one here in Indianapolis for our capital city.
That's amazing. So tell us briefly what we can expect on the 5th.
Well, we gather in the plaza of the city market downtown. The last couple years, weather's cooperated, and there's some music from 11 to noon, and then noon, which for many people is the lunch hour. We have various leaders in our community pray for different sectors. We'll have one of the sisters from St. Francis Hospital pray for our healthcare providers, and someone will come from city government to pray for our local officials. We'll have a teacher pray for our students and student athletes, and others will pray for other sectors, including the media, arts, and entertainment. And from noon to 1, we'll just touch on these different areas of our state and civic life, lift them up in prayer, and then we close by saying the Lord's Prayer together.
So you're invited the entire Indianapolis or entire Indiana or Midwest to join.
The more the better, and we hope people will join in prayer with us. We'll have some folks up front, obviously leading these prayers, but we just want to have a time of just a prayer worship service, if that's the right phrasing, for our city and our state. Members of City Council are there. There's a prayer caucus that meets before City Council meetings, and that's really where the energy for this comes from, is members of our City Council. And as I joke, you know, we get together, it's black and white, man and woman, Republican and Democrat, but the really sweet thing is to see Northsiders and Southsiders pray together. That's when you know the Holy Spirit's at work.
Wow, that is amazing. Yeah, we'll definitely be there.
Great, thanks.
So tell me a little bit about Sagamore of Wabash.
Well, Sagamore of the Wabash is an honor the governor can bestow on Hoosiers and others. And it kind of means, you know, village elder. It comes from our Indian heritage. Sagamore was a wise person in the language of the Indians of our founding era here in Indiana. So it's an honorary designation. You're kind of an informal advisor to the governors, and different governors over the years have designated folks. And I was pleased to be named as Sagamore of the Wabash by former Governor Robert Orr. So I'm showing my age a little bit. Governor Orr served in the 80s and was himself a very wise man, someone I respected deeply, and it was quite an honor to be named as Sagamore by him.
I bet that's a real honor to receive that. Also, you're the president of IFI.
Yes, sir.
Tell us a little bit about that.
The Family Institute's goal is to strengthen family life here in our beloved Indiana. We do that through public policy. We're in the State House working on making marriage strong in law and regulation, other things that affect the family. We also do a lot of marriage and relationship education, and if any of your viewers are interested in having us do a training or help with them, it's not really premarital counseling, it's more what is the dynamic of a marriage? How does that work? They can get in touch with us. I think you put our web address up on the screen, but it's Hoosierfamily.org, www.hoosierfamily.org. They can get in touch with us. We'd love to come and help them strengthen marriages in their congregation or their community.
That is great. May 5th, the big day is coming. So we have it on our screen here. About the information how to get hold of you.
Good. We'd love to pack that square. We've had a couple hundred people, and we've had some good media coverage, and we'd love to pack that square and just have people praying for our community.
Okay. Well, take note of that, May 5th. Thank you, Kurt, for being our guest.
My pleasure.
Back to you, Faith.
Thanks, Marilyn. Easter is just around the corner, and so is my up-and-coming guest play, Up on This Rock. You don't want to miss a sneak peek when we return next on Religion in the News.